Hi, my name is Janna Feaster, and I'm the Vice President of UX and Creative at Sandstorm Design. At Sandstorm, we primarily create B2B and B2C experiences for our broad range of clients that could include associations, higher education, manufacturing, consumer goods, as well as tech. My role at Sandstorm is I do oversee the teams of UX researchers and designers, as well as our UI designers, our more traditional designers and writers. I'm also heavily involved in strategy work, where I get to do a lot of the research for brand positioning, brand renaming, and also product launches. So basically, I get to do everything, which is pretty fantastic. Before Sandstorm, I guess the whole career path, I went to undergrad at Ball State University in Indiana. After I graduated from Ball State, there was this new thing called the internet that was starting. Everyone said, if you want to be part of this, you've got to go to Chicago. So moved from a very small town in Indiana and moved to Chicago, and I've been here ever since and have had the great opportunity to not only be part of building great digital experiences, but also great consumer experiences. My first job was, your typical first job, one that just got you a lot of experience and kind of figured out what you didn't want to do. My second job was much more engaging. And it was a place called Torque. We were able to do a lot of consumer work. One of my big roles was to help launch Borders bookstores. For those of you who are familiar with Borders, we got to launch their international brands. So taking a US bookstore to have the audacity to go global, and specifically in London. So it was really, really interesting to help bring our US brand into that global environment and really just create something special. After Torque, I went and got my MFA at University of Illinois in Chicago, and I taught there for a couple of years and had my own company for a while. And after that was wooed away by Sandstorm. So that's kind of the career path. I do a lot of things outside of Sandstorm. I run TEDx Oak Park here in Oak Park, which includes TEDx Oak Park Salons and TEDx Oak Park Women. So we follow the TED format, and we actually have really large events that we are currently working on right now. Our next event will be in January. And I also do other mentoring at the high school here in Oak Park and River Forest. And when I also have other time, I play piano and also do flamenco dance. I guess more background, I'm married and have 2 kids and 2 dogs, which you might hear momentarily as they get up. So the one thing that I think is really, as far as the topic, I wanted to make sure it would resonate for people that are new to design and really kind of help them bring their vision to life. Because many times when you're working on a digital experience, you then, either if it's an agile environment or what have you, you then hand your creative sketch files or what have you to the developers on your team. We are so lucky at Sandstorm to have amazing developers. And I didn't realize that until I started working with some other developers. I was like, wow, it's so different than what we have at Sandstorm. My team of developers pride themselves on creating and developing my designs to where it's perfection. Like, they don't want me to find anything wrong when I do a DQA. And I thought that was normal, and I didn't realize that was not normal. So then what do you do when the developers are focused on budgets or timing and they just don't quite see the vision that you have in your creative? How do you work with them to make sure that you can communicate what you want and how it to work and how it to respond, as well as really keeping in mind those different traits that we have to keep in mind for accessibility, as well as just the brand itself. Because as a designer, you're bringing in all that information from the user, from the business, but also trying to manage it from a budget perspective, a timeline perspective, and also what the developers actually have time to develop. Because you don't want to make something that's so crazy in hours that then blows your budget. So that's why I chose this topic of how to communicate with developers, how to really work with them and partner with them, because they are your partners, to create amazing digital experiences. I'm hoping you'll walk away with understanding, looking at your files? Are your files set up properly? Have you thought about different breakpoints, how that content's going to work as it responds down, and preparing for those conversations? How to even bring those developers into the conversation earlier when you are brainstorming your creative or looking at those wireframes, trying to understand what you can design within the budget, but also the constraints of time and budget for those developers. And then just really create a great team atmosphere, a give and take, where there's a mutual focus on creating great work. That's also, a little bit of an ego of you really wanting to make sure your work looks really good. So I'm hoping that's what people will walk away with. We'll have great conversations of really creating some great teams, also looking at your files, and just really creating some great work in the end. I wanted to tell you about my time. I went to the Art Institute, the Modern Ring, right after it was opened, and I got to walk the Modern Ring with Massimo Bonelli. And if you don't know who Massimo was, he amazing designer, part of Unimark. And the reason I was given this privilege is because of this book. I'm going to give a shout out to my very dear friend, Jan Conradi, who was one of my professors in undergrad. She wrote this book about Unimark, and when it launched, Massimo came to Chicago to be part of the launch. And then the next day, Jan asked if I would like to have lunch with him at the Art Institute, and did, and it was fantastic just to be in the room with him and talking to him, and then was able to walk through the museum with him. And we primarily walked more through the furniture room, but just to see and talk to him about different lines and the way that the different furniture looked. It was really, really amazing. I think that was actually better to look at furniture, something that I don't do, so I could talk to him in more of a natural way, and just really, really a wonderful time, and definitely very much enjoyed it, and it was really special. And then next question is, what is my favorite concert? So I love music. We have music going on all the time in my house. My kids play music, I play. And my favorite concert, well, there's not one, because I go to a lot of the same artists over and over again because I'm a super fan. Of course, I was really bummed that Trent Reznor is not going to be here for Riot Fest. Love Trent Reznor, love Nine Inch Nails. My kids are not allowed to go with me to those concerts because I do lose my mind and they do not need to see me in that way. But I'm also a really big fan of a band called The Revivalists. You probably know this breakout song, Wish I Knew You. Go to their earlier stuff, Vital Signs, and as one of their EPs, fantastic. They're from New Orleans, which New Orleans is, somewhere I'd love to live someday, the hum of the city, the music, food, and they bring that into their music. They have some really great, just broad range, they have a saxophonist, trumpet, piano, and then now percussion and the drums. I mean, it's just amazing. So please look them up. Don't judge them on their most recent on Wish I Know You. It's fine. It's good. It got them on the Billboard charts. Great. But there's some other stuff that I think you should hear and should really, really enjoy. So that's a little bit about me. I'm looking forward so much to this mentoring opportunity. I do feel I want to create an environment where I learn from my mentees as much as they learn from me. I will be available to answer questions, but also I want to ask questions too, because that's the thing at Sandstorm. We have no ego. It doesn't matter where the idea comes from. And I want to have that in my mentoring. I want us to come together and mentor together and learn from each other. So check it out, and I hope to see some of you guys in my mentoring team. So thank you so much.